Hi, my name is Andre.
Hey.
I just want to ask whether I know on the Discord chats there were some talks regarding the white paper not being updated in terms of the current current updates of the core and of the nodes. Is it true? And if it's true, when would the new white paper be updated?
Oh yeah, we have made some improvements over the last year on that. So the white paper isn't totally up to date right now. I'm trying to get time to do it, but I spent a lot of my time coding and doing research on a couple things the last months. So, I always want to do more writing. I'll probably, let's see, I hope I'll get it done this summer. So, yep, I will.
Thanks.
Hi, Colin. You mentioned that 5% of the supply was kept back for the development fund. How do you convert that into, I presume you pay bills in fiat and wages and things.
Yeah.
How do you convert that Nano? Who buys it? How much do you, sell a month, I guess, of Nano or a year? What's the mechanism for converting that into fiat that you can use for bills?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes through an exchange, and we do it. We try to do it as slow as we can, and obviously we keep our expenses down, and it just goes through an exchange. Some people do accept Nano directly, actually. So that's kind of the preferred way of doing it, just because we're making a currency. We want to pay in the currency that we're doing. And we've had a decent amount of people that accept that, actually, which is kind of nice to do it. But people that need money, we have to just convert it to dollars or euros.
Hello. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more about the upcoming features of the protocol, like the layered voting and the trimmer ledger that you mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So the layered voting is something I've only have a sketch in my own notebook about, but it's a way so that you don't need to communicate all of the votes to everyone in the network. So right now, when you send out a new transaction, all the votes get bounced around and all the nodes see all the votes. And that takes a decent amount of network traffic, and not everyone is really concerned with that. So we're going to divide up the network, or people can subscribe to the votes, or they can opt to not get all the votes if they don't want it. So all the votes will only go to the people that want to see all of the full votes coming in. That'll be the representatives and everything. And then there'll be another layer of people that have said, I don't want to see all the votes. And what they'll do is just watch for transactions that are sent to them. And when they observe a transaction being sent to them, there's going to be a way to retrieve the votes out of a specific part of the network, and then so they can validate that the transaction's been confirmed. So when you do that, then you're only getting the vote traffic for exactly the transactions that are destined for your node. The representatives will still have to see all of the vote traffic, but this way, not everyone needs to see all the vote traffic. So we're just kind of making layers of how much traffic you want to subscribe to. And then the ledger pruning, that's something that we've had on there for a while. We're in a better position to do it right now because of the state blocks that we added last year, which contain all of the account state. Now everything is updated to use those, and we'll be able to trim off all the old data that comes before. So yeah.
You mentioned that an aim of the protocol is removing centralization by design. Considering the voting weight that some representatives have, do you consider that a success currently, and what can it be done to be improved?
Yeah, I think it's been mostly successful when you look at it from the standpoint of, if you look at mining pools and large mining groups that are out there, there are usually like 3, 4, or 5 that consume over 50% of the consensus network, and ours is roughly the same. I think that ours can be greatly improved in the future by simply getting listed on more exchanges, and then people will divide it up a little bit more. And as more institutions are used that use Nano, that voting weight will be divided up more. Every single person that talks to us about integrating us, like WireX and other exchanges, we always tell them to set up a representative because they're participating in the network, and they do, and that's how we're slowly pushing that balance out as time goes on.
I'm interested in how you think Nano will continue to compete as banks push into faster payments. So the UK already has their faster payment system. The EU is rolling out SEPA Instant Credit, which is payments anywhere in the EU within 10 seconds for a few cents of fees.
Yeah.
And how Nano will continue to be attractive to the average consumer when those systems have rolled out.
Yeah, so that kind of goes into a little bit of our strategy from the standpoint of who is the best first adopter of this, and it's probably not first world consumers. They're not the best target on this because we have things like credit cards. I already have a way of virtually instantly buying something by means of my credit card, but there are people elsewhere in the world that don't have that access at all. So for them, cryptocurrency is a lot more compelling. Those systems also usually only work within a specific central banking region. They don't go across regions, so that's another thing that we can improve on. If you need to send money to someone in a different country, your friend, those typically won't go that fast. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at.
I guess this one's kind of decentralization as well. Obviously, Binance is like the majority of the market. Everyone's freaking out because they're moving out of the US. So, yeah, what's stopping more exchanges taking this on? Is it just like money, or is it the fact that they're not sure about the text? It's not just a clone coin.
I mean, getting more exchanges is some of the stuff that we're doing in version 19. Moving to TCP was one of the big things that needed to be done, just simply due to firewalls and how these exchanges typically set them up. So that was, unfortunately, that took us a lot of time to do. You know, it's been a couple months we've been running it on there, and when we have to do that. So that's helpful. Also, one of the things that holds us up getting into exchanges, which just takes us longer, is our API is different. We're not a clone of Bitcoin, or we're not an ERC20 token. And those guys just make tons and tons of money by every single like ICO coin. They just charge them $250,000 and then turn it on to the new ERC20, and it's the exact same thing. So from their aspect, you know, why not? If people are printing money and just it's the exact same thing, you know, they're going to do that. So it takes us a little bit longer to get in there, but when they do, I mean, we don't have a lot of friction once we're already in exchanges, so that we really have that in our favor.
I noticed that there's no mention of privacy in the upcoming features of the protocol, and I would like to ask if that is a technical decision, because obviously there's trade-offs in implementing privacy in a currency, or if it is an ideological one.
No, it's definitely more on the technical aspect. There's two things with the privacy. One is currently our consensus mechanism makes use of balances in order to assign vote weights. So if those are obfuscated, it's harder to use our mechanism, and in some ways it might not be possible without some modifications on that. So that's one technical aspect. The other one is I don't feel that even though people say that they have privacy on there, it doesn't give you the privacy that they expect. I know there's been a lot of suggestions on, you know, you can implement this in Nano and it'll give you privacy, but privacy is more than just obfuscating the account numbers. There's timing analysis, there's a bunch of side channel data that gets pulled in that allows people to figure out who's sending the data. So if it's technically hard to implement and it doesn't achieve the goal, I don't want to add it in there, especially if it is a lot of overhead, if it slows down the speed. That might not always be true. We might find some technology that does this as fast, it satisfies the problems, and it would be a natural fit, in which case I would add it. I have no problem with privacy. In fact, I think that's what people want. It's a goal. So I went with what was in front of me at the time and what seemed technically feasible and actually worked very well, and that's what I put into the protocol at this point.
So you don't think that can be an obstacle to adoption
I don't think it'll be a very big obstacle to adoption. I think people in cryptocurrency are aware of this and are concerned about the specific account numbers, but you can use different accounts. You can move them in and out of accounts, and I don't think that from a wider adoption perspective, that tops people's list of concerns or wants. That would be my guess.
Can you explain the block lattice structure a bit more? Because, so for example, if there is any double spending going on, are there multiple transactions that need to be reversed in the same, like, basically, like
level?
a mini blockchain?
Any dependent transactions on a double spend attempt have to be rolled back, yeah. So, I mean, the block lattice is every signing key has a linked list of transactions in order. And a double spend attempt looks like a split in there. So you have your linked list, and then there's two things that say they're following the same part in the graph. And all the node does is make sure that everyone agrees on exactly one of them. And then that's how the double spend is eliminated. So people can try to rush in multiple transactions at once, double spend, double, 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 but they're all going to be pruned off, and there's only going to be one path that has the confirmation.
But that path doesn't get updated to all of the nodes immediately, right? So
not immediately.
At least some time until that transaction gets verified by all nodes. And until then,
right.
Is there any risks towards that? Or
no, because the node says it's not a confirmed transaction. So we have a confirmation height thing we're actually adding with version 19. So if we have 10 transactions, it'll say the height is 10, but the confirmed height is 9. So that 10th one has not been finalized yet.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, and then the nice thing about the way the lattice works is if an account is negotiating this, which one is the winner, the rest of the network can still continue on. It doesn't stall everyone, which is an important thing in keeping the throughput high.
Thanks.